This is a movie on Jacob's Pillow and the Rosicrucian Cosmography, how they literally overlap with the map of England. Sir Walter Raleigh found the sea cave in 1596. I ended up living there in 2014. And he drew the sea cave on the Rosicrucian Cosmography and used both to find Jacob's Pillow, to locate Jacob's Pillow. And it's very clear when you map the Rosicrucian Cosmography over the map of England and Scotland that it absolutely locates Jacob's Pillow. Before I knew this, I've just found out this now, before I knew this, I dug up Jacob's Pillow at the predicted time, which was 2020 in autumn. So I did it on All Souls Day, 1st of November 2020. And Sean Connery, the preferred King of Scotland, had died the day before. And the Pillow Man was mentioned by Trump 5 times the night before. So it was the perfect time to find Jacob's Pillow. Now, Jacob's Pillow is the portal to the house of God. So it is used for coronations so that the monarch can work with God. I offered Jacob's Pillow, well, I sent the information to Queen Elizabeth and Charles about Jacob's Pillow, and they ignored it because they don't want to be a portal to the house of God or do good. So I've found Jacob's Pillow. The staff at Westminster Abbey, I went and saw them, and they admitted that the coronation stone that they have is fake. It's absolutely fake. So I found the real stone, which is a milestone to finding the real King of England and the real King of Scotland, who turns out to be a friend of mine and a cousin. So we've got it in hand. And when you watch this video, you'll see just how wow it all really is. Here's England marking Holy Island, Anglesey, another Holy Island, another Holy Island, and another Holy Island, Jacob's Pillow, and another Holy Island. There's 5 of them. Black Castle Fort, White Castle Fort, Castleford, York, London, Avebury, Hill of Tara, where the stone was, Dublin, and Smerwick, which was blamed on Raleigh, but he was never there, and the Rosicrucian Cosmography. If you get the map of, what is it? Is it the UK? Is it Britain? Is it Great Britain? Is it the United Kingdom of Great Britain? Is it the United Kingdom of Great Britain and All Ireland? Is it the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland? Is it part of the EU? Is it out of the EU? Is part of it out of the EU? I think it is England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. So if you get England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, and you put north to the left-hand side and east up, it matches perfectly with the Rosicrucian Cosmography, which was made in 1618 by Sir Walter Raleigh. So I'm going to show you that overlay. Note how the SS, which means sensu stricto, falls perfectly in the harbour. Tut forms perfectly to the mouth of the Ribble River. I used to live on the Ribble River in 2020, 2021. And the clouds actually match up with the Humber estuary, which covers 2,960 square miles. And the stars at the top left and top right perfectly line over Holy Island and Avebury, and the Holy Island just off Wales, and the line that goes from midnight down to 4:30, 5 o'clock, that actually matches perfectly with the coastline of Ireland. And the sword on the left-hand side marks the 45-degree canyon going through Scotland, through Fort William and Fort George. But most importantly, the arrow coming from the left-hand square in the castle fort vehicle going up towards 10 o'clock, that marks where Jacob's pillow is, and it says I.P. I is Aeokibus, Jacob pillow, Aeokibus pillow, Jacob's pillow. It marks exactly where I found it. It's just fantastic. And the wings even fit in the harbour, and the wings fit over the land. It's just fantastic. So if we get all of the rectangles with Latin words in them, they have lines attached, dark lines. I've made them darker. And the two rectangles in the castle, cathedral, fort vehicle, and we take away the background and just leave it as the two windows. The window on the left is actually a drawing of me, and the joining of the two windows right at the top, that crease like a lung line on the forehead, that actually marks dis. So if we get these rectangles and we put them one above the other and translate them, they translate as, brother, I know the stone, to the brothers, towards Jacob's pillow, very close. Jacob's pillow is written I.P for Aeokibus pillow. So if we get these four rectangles and we change them from black to white so they're easy to read and stack them on top of each other, you can see they're all at various angles, but roughly the same proportion. Now the word angle means angel. It's taken to mean angel in this realm we're discussing here. And the most angled rectangle, the most angel rectangle, the holiest rectangle, the most angled rectangle lines up perfectly with the holy sites, three holy islands, Avebury and Jacob's pillow. The angled rectangle, the angel rectangle, the holy rectangle marks Holy Island, Avebury, Holy Island, another holy island, Jacob's pillow, White Castle Fort, Black Castle Fort, and Roslyn Chapel. There is one rope pulley on two shafts, a black shaft and a white shaft. These pulleys are very clearly White Castle Fort and Black Castle Fort. Their staffs form a 13-degree angle, being the angle between Jacob's pillow and Arthur's seat. And just below Arthur's seat is Jacob's ladder, and they are 30 miles apart. Just to the left of these pulleys is the vertical writing, per multa discreus na recurs. Per means by, across, to the other far side of. Multa means many, fine or penalty. Isle of Anglesey, that's what popped up. Discreus means discreet. Na or no means to float or swim, so sail. Recurs means requires, and you are welcome. No recurs means no complaints and requires no complaints. So it variously means through the mouth discriminating, no running back, or through many things discreet, do not turn back, or through fine or penalty, which could mean storm, float or sail from the Isle of Anglesey, you are welcome, or from the Isle of Anglesey discreetly sail to the far other side, no complaints, you are welcome. Now the distance from the Isle of Anglesey to Jacob's Pillow is 222 miles, which is a number that marks the king. Between White Castle Fort and Black Castle Fort is X marks the spot. X always marks the spot, and that X or cross also shows up in the Rosicrucian Cosmography. Here you see White Castle Fort and Black Castle Fort close up. and there is Black Castle Fort with the shaft attached, as though it's linking to a portal through time. Quite impressive. One must pull on the rope in the correct direction. So if we get the single rope on the two pulleys on the two shafts and pull the rope, it's into Castle Ford. And the White Castle Fort and Black Castle Fort perfectly overlay onto Castle Ford. The journey from Anglesey to Jacob's Pillow is marked by the walking stick, which I've drawn in yellow, which is the walking stick I found 2 days ago, 7 paces from me, which I'll show you at the end of the movie. So there's White Castle, Black Castle, Castle Ford, and the cross or X in a forest in between them forming a triangle. And that is also on the Castle Ford in the Rosicrucian Cosmography. So there you go. There's the Castle Fort in the Rosicrucian Cosmography, and there's the Castle Fort in England, and they all line up. There were no books in the Oxford University Library except for 3 books plus some chained books. So they were chained to a pedestal so you couldn't steal them. So what happened was this. During the Bodleian Library Cadiz Faro book raid, Sir Walter Raleigh was above Faro on the 23rd to the 27th of July 1596 and obtained the Book of Predictions at Milru Estoy. They're about 800 yards apart, which is 700 royal yards, and it's also called the Book of Prophecies, and it's a forerunner to and the original source of Book of Revelations by St. John the Divine. Raleigh read in 6 languages, followed the instructions, and made his way 30 miles directly west to the coastal Golden Arch Isis birthing gateway, and this cave of predictions fulfilled the end times. Raleigh explored from midday Saturday to 4 a.m. Sunday in the cave, 27th and 28th of July 1596, which is 2 plus 8 over 7 and 21, which means the second royal shin. A Portuguese woman brought him a pot of tea with a smoke and a book of predictions. Raleigh sketched and codified the end times and the times of the end. This became the Rosicrucian Cosmography and works with the Bible revelation of St. John the Divine, who was Dragon Order of Egypt, the Great White Brotherhood, and posthumous Jesus, who studied with the Great White Brotherhood and the Dragon Order of Egypt. Rosicrucians are all about the New Age, and the Rosicrucians have been storing this massively esoteric knowledge and not really understanding it, and now that it's all become concrete, they're going, yoo-hoo, we got it right. On the Rosicrucian Cosmography is very clearly 2 wings coming out of the rotunda on top of the cathedral, chapel, castle, castle fort, Castle Ford, and there are also wings in Raleigh and my cave, very clear wings. So we have the cloud up the top from the Humber, cloud and a wing above the clouds, on a wing and a prayer, flying close to the sun, which has 2 meanings, sun and sun. So here we see Rosicrucian Cosmography with the background taken off, so you just see the cloud. And if you look closely, there is a dick. There's clearly a penis on the cave wall, and there's a penis on the cosmography, and that is directly above the young man. And then there's myself in the cave there. So the cosmography has a dick in it coming out of the clouds. The cave has a dick in it coming out of the clouds, and that alludes to Pindar. And in 2020, people used to ask me if I was Pindar. And look, there's an indication. Now, Kronos is the man who turns the zodiac wheel. And if you look above me standing in the cave there, there's a man striking the center or turning the knob in the center of the zodiac wheel. So now you've got two knobs. You've got the Pindar knob, and then you've got the man turning the knob in the center of the zodiac wheel, which would make him Pindar. And then there is the royal mark, which is the mark of the bodyguard of the King of Kings, which I have here. And that is in the Rosicrucian Cosmography. It lines up with the wing on the cave as well, quite nicely. See how that one goes. As per the Dictionary of Symbolism, wings represent commendable deeds leading to an elevation, victory, ex victoria, and chronos. So the wings coming out of the rotunda on top of the castle fort that Raleigh drew are a very close match to the wing or wings on Raleigh's cave, which is my cave. And by the way, Sir Walter Raleigh was my great times 10 grandfather. So he really left the cave and the Rosicrucian Cosmography for me to discover, uncover, live in, and find Jacob's Pillow. This is looking out from the cave to the Watchful Dog, which overlooks the Golden Fleece, the Black Ewe Lamb. Sir Walter Raleigh drew this Watchful Dog in his Rosicrucian Cosmography in 1618, and it is also the same hill profile as Arthur's Seat in Edinburgh, Scotland. And here we have a replica ship sailing on top of the Watchful Dog, which means Watchful God, which means the Watchers. And that ship is more or less a replica of the Ark Royal. Now, you've got Noah's Ark, and then you've got the Ark Raleigh, and Sir Walter Raleigh borrowed £5,000 off his aunt, Queen Elizabeth I, to design and build the Ark Raleigh. And when he'd finished it, his aunt, Queen Elizabeth I, stole it and changed its name to Ark Royal. So the religious power word Ark runs through all of it, and Raleigh is synonymous with royal. And here I've got a comment down the bottom from an old slide. Noah's Ark and Ark Royal meet in Raleigh's Rosicrucian Cosmography outside Zeus and Joseph Gregory Hallett's End Times New Age cave. I would say that Zeus was Jupiter in this case, which we'll see in the next slide, and that Kronos supersedes Zeus in the cosmic development of what we're doing here. I'd use Kronos instead of Zeus. On Leap Day 2012, 29th of February at 10 p.m, I was presented with the sword of the Duke of Sain Cob in Gotha, Duke II. And I was told to sleep with the sword and get up in the morning and hold it up to the castle, which was Castle Morosh, and also Pina Castle, which was built by the artist prince, King Dom Ferdinand II of Portugal, who was Prince of Sain Coburg in Gotha Kuhari, so it's the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. And in the morning, I held the sword up, I was playing with it, and it hadn't rained in 59 days in Portugal, and the farmers were about to walk off their farms. So I came to Portugal on Leap Day, the 29th of February 2012, and I was given the sword, and I held it up, and there was thunder, massive, just rolling thunder, and then rain. And that saved the farmers in Portugal. So I was just playing around with the sword, and I had the camera there, so playing on video, and it was just recording me playing with the sword with light bouncing off it. And one of the positions is exactly the right angle for the sword and the right length. And it's a very nice sword, really, really nice sword. Pretty much no one in the British royal family has seen it because they're not, but I was given it because I am. There's a theory called the electric universe, and that is that another planet came very close to Earth, and they had different charges, and they discharged their electricity and electromagnetism between each other, and this produced spheres cut out of rocks very close to the edge. It's called arc plasma. So in my cave proper, which is about 60 yards by 30 yards, there are spheres cut out of the solid rock about 4 inches from the edge. There are around 10 spheres cut out in that area, usually about 2.5 meters across. Some of them are cut out on an angle, like at 45 degrees out of the cliff face, and some of them you can actually see circular scarring around them. Jupiter is known as Zeus, and this could be considered Zeus's cave or cave of Kronos, or the cave of Sir Walter Raleigh, or the cave of Joseph Gregory Hallett. Zeus's final resting place is about 50 kilometers away. This is on the south coast. Zeus's final resting place is on the west coast, pretty much straight across west. It's about 6 miles north of Sagres, which means holy. So what did Sir Walter Raleigh do with this? He noted these circles, and there's 10 clear circles, and he drew 10 clear circles on the Rosicrucian Cosmography as a key. So let's have a look. The door in the castle fort is the doorway to Jacob's Pillow. Jacob's Pillow was marked by a circle formed by 4 branches from 3 trees. And the stone was the depth of me if my hair was the grass, and my left foot was standing on the stone and my right foot was standing on the earth at the level of the bottom of the stone. So it was quite synchronistic towards me. The stone retrieved was exactly the recorded size of the stone to the millimeter in all 3 dimensions, length, width, height, and it was exactly the right weight, and a couple of chips came off it during the excavation, which was predicted. So it went from 336 pounds down to 333 pounds. And I had to wait because the digger was actually digging at Rosalind Chapel. So I had to wait 2 weeks. The cave, Rosicrucian Cosmography, and Rosalind Chapel worked together to reveal the location of Jacob's Pillow, the primitive circle, the circumference circles as wheels of a vehicle, the Rosicrucian circle, the Rosalind circle, and modern circle, and the natural circle, alluding to the cycle of life as one would expect. And I fulfilled the Da Vinci Code, the last 20 minutes of the movie, by taking the Sangreal to Rosalind Chapel, where the hair of David decodified Rosalind Chapel as though it was built for him, which it was. His ancestor designed and built Rosalind Chapel for him to decode, and my ancestor, Sir Walter Raleigh, discovered the Book of Prophecies, went to the cave, became Raleigh's cave, Zeus's cave or Kronos's cave, and he did the Rosicrucian Cosmography for me to decipher. And then we met at the predicted time, which was May 2023, and Nostradamus had predicted that the 2 contenders would meet, and the quatrain was called 523, which alludes to May 2023. To the right is the watchful dog. The watchful dog overlooks the black ewe lamb. Watchful dog means watchful God, which means the watchers. The lamb or sheep is surrounded by gold and has a golden hind. Raleigh stole the golden hind ship off Queen Elizabeth I, 1579 to 1580. Sir Walter Raleigh was in this cave 17 years later in 1596, 27th to the 28th of July. This golden fleece represents the order of the golden fleece, a very high order of knowledge adepts. The watchers watch over the golden fleece. The black ewe lamb represents the right to rule the world. This in Raleigh's Rosicrucian cave, directed here by the Book of Prophecies, likely written by the Dragon Order of Egypt and the Great White Brotherhood, in conjunction with posthumous Jesus. Yeah. Cave domestics. It's really just a minute of fun and a bit of pride. So these are the tools I used to flatten the cave floor. So I started off with that little mallet and that chisel, and then I got that bolster, and I got that scraper pointy thing, and I got the pinch bar, which was really useful. Actually flattened off some of the bedrock, and that pan fryer thing was used for sifting the stones. I ordered them into different sizes and types so that when I was looking from the top of the cave, the color of the stone would tell me the temperature of the cave and whether or not it was livable. So that's my pile of rocks. You know, some people toss rocks from one side of the river to the other for a bit of exercise. So I dug those rocks out. It's over a ton, and ordered them by size. Got quite fit doing it. That's the path flattened out, pile of rocks again, and it's the biggest load of moita, which is heather in Portugal, and it's the biggest batch of moita there. And when I originally got there for the first 3 days, so there's my lovely path all leveled and a wall that I actually dug that whole thing out. So there's moita there. Why was there moita there? There's no water there at all. And the first 3 days I was there, a stream, a freshwater stream, popped out from the back of the cave and ran down through the cave, which is quite thematic to all of this. And I never saw it again, not in 123 days. So I was there for 123 days, as you can see in my phone booth coming up, which is there. There we are, 909, 3rd of September 2014, 77% recorded like a mobile. So you can use that day and that day to tell which year it is. And there's a screenshot of the cave. So that's primitive man's phone holder charger thingy. Yeah, so this Raleigh's replica ship went past, and it was all quite relaxing. There was 2 channels, day and night, and one advertisement, dawn, and another advertisement, dusk. Occasionally the cuttlefish would come right up to the shore and light up. And there was a white bat with red under its wings that would fly into the top of the cave above me, which is very Templar. And I used to have breakfast brought to me, kind of brunch really, about 5 days a week, hot, tin foil, with hot coffee. It's kind of fantastic. And the Portuguese Navy used to drive up and down in front of me, and they'd put their rubber dinghy to shore and try and find a way up the cave, and it's a 40-foot drop, there's no way in. So that was a bit of fun. And here it says pro reg leg greg, which means for the king, the law, and the people. And the seaside cave is marked king, pro greg leg reg, for the people, the law, and the king. People first, follow the law, and then the king. So after I finished digging the cave, I went looking for a bit of exercise and wanted to build myself some weights. So I went hunting with my bread knife, and I found some fishnet, which was very much tied to a rock and looked to be in ruins. And there are 2 of them, slightly separate places. So I cut those off and wrapped them around a stick. So it's this here. Right, yeah. And I got 2 hefty rocks and stuck them inside, which you can see the image of them. And one of the rocks got delivered to me. This police put on the net. I can't do it now. Just can't do it. And then, so that was my exercise. And then I noticed in the Rosicrucian Cosmography that Raleigh had drawn that stick and those nets with the rocks in them in 1618. So what are the chances of that? Right? Whew, right down to the detail. Also, the cave wall lines up perfectly with the cosmography. So the cave got hit with swells that were 10 to 10.5 meters high, which is 33 feet. And they would hit the cliff face, which was 40 foot at my level, but generally 70 foot. And then the spray would go 30 foot above that. So the spray was 100 feet above sea level. That meant that 60 foot of spray was hitting my cave and I was just getting drenched. That's why I spent 23 days of the 123 days I was there away. It was storms, but also hotel holidays. So what it says in the Rosicrucian Cosmography by the house, which is next door, 33 yards away, per multa discreas na recurs, basically says, you're in it now, sail, float, swim, do whatever is required, get on with it. There's no turning back, and there's no complaints, and there's no one to complain to. So it was quite prophetic, really. You see that rock there that's shaped like a lowercase I? I used to climb under the dot on that I. There's a little like tunnel you could slide down into the cave. And I used to climb on the outside of the stem of the eye with a 40-foot drop and kind of laugh as I was doing it. Yep. Talk about prophecy. These guys were great seers. Sir Walter Raleigh was a wonderful seer. He's absolutely fantastic. In the Rosicrucian Cosmography, there is one house and it's very prominent, and it is to the left of the castle fort, which is on the north side of the page, signified by septentrionalis, which means north, whereas oriens at the top of the page means east. Now, 33 yards to the north of where I sit is a house which is exactly the same as the house drawn in the cosmography. But I mean exactly the same, I mean pretty much identical. The prophecies were just something to be admired. Christ's prophecies are represented by a white swan, especially when Christ's prophecies are fulfilled. In the upper right-hand corner of the Rosicrucian Cosmography is a white swan. It is sitting atop a letter opener exactly the same shape as this. This letter opener came via Queen Victoria, along with a letter from Queen Victoria elevating the holder to the King of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and all Ireland, so King of England. I hold the letter and the letter opener, so it is Christ's prophecies fulfilled. I should say I hold the letter opener, the cave, and the full decodification of the Rosicrucian Cosmography and the finding of Jacob's Pillow, which is the true coronation stone. So it is Christ's prophecies fulfilled, with Sir Walter Raleigh as the seer intermediary. So on the cross side of this, it says, in hoc signo vinces, by this mark we shall win. And on the other side, it says, it is the mark of the bodyguard to the king. It is the mark of the bodyguard to the King of Kings. So this is Christ's prophecies fulfilled, represented by the white swan. Yeah, it is. Many will seek the Holy Grail, and all will fail except for one or two. This is me in front of Pena Castle in Sintra in 2010. Beginning of that major journey. And look at all the pitfalls. The River Ribble, the River Calder, the River Aire, and the River Ouse divide North England from South England. The River Aire and the River Ouse emerge into the Humber tidal estuary, which covers 9,360 square miles. The Crown of England was stolen in 1216 and left from Grimsby. The River Aire refers to Lord of the Air, which was the pseudonym for Horus. In the transition from Egyptian mythology to Christian mythos, Horus became Jesus, who held the title Christ. So the River Aire refers to Christ. And if you add an H to the River Ouse, it's the River House. The River Ribble and the River Hodder flow into the River Ribble and the River Calder. And if you look closely at the intersection between the River Ribble and the River Hodder and the River Calder, you have J.R.R. Tolkien's walks called the Tolkien Trail, centered around Hurst Green and Stonyhurst. And in the cyan colour, you have my walks, because I lived there 2020 to 2021 in the missing year. And where I walked overlaps with his walks, and I used to walk on the other side of the river, looking to where J.R.R. Tolkien had walked. J.R.R. Tolkien was the historian for the Sinclairs and the Merovingian lineage and the Holy Grail lineage and the Holy Grail story and the Sangreal lineage. When the River Ribble, Calder and Hodder meet at the place where I walked and at the place where J.R.R. Tolkien walked, it forms an X. X always marks the spot. And here's me sitting on the River Ribble on a marker stone marked BC. King John III, Joseph Gregory Hallett, sits on the River Ribble BC at Clitheroe during the missing year 2020 to 2021. And I was told about that missing year, that it was going to happen in 2013. And there was no year 0 BC. And part of the missing year 2020 to 2021 was to mark there was no 0 BC. And soon after, we would launch into a new age. Well, that was a bit melodramatic. A couple of days ago, I found this walking stick. It's 3'2", and it had been in the studio sitting there 7 paces away from me for 5 to 10 years. And it is the perfect match for the walking stick in the Rosicrucian Cosmography here. And it is a perfect match for the journey from the Isle of Anglesey to Glasgow Harbour and up to Jacob's Water and Jacob's Pillow. It's quite fantastic just how accurate it is. And one of the tells of these marks is you have to see it in 3D and you have to touch it to see what it can do. So you actually have to go there to do this stuff. All the best.